Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Spurs Up Show, presented by the Armchair All-Americans. You smell that in the air, Tom? It's game week. It's finally here. South Carolina faces the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers on Saturday at noon. We're going to be here breaking down everything with the game, with the Gamecocks game against Coastal. I'll also talk about a little bit about the depth chart that was released today and some other news and notes. But first, if you're not subscribed yet, not sure what you're doing, this is the perfect time to do so with the season just getting kicked off. The best Gamecocks podcast on the internet by far. Please be sure to go check us out. Go online, rate, subscribe, share, and download the Spurs Up Show on iTunes, the Stitcher app, wherever you consume your media, wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to go check us out there. Also, be sure to check us out on social media. Our podcast is on Twitter at the Spurs Up Show. Armchair South Carolina is also on all social media on Twitter at Armchair SCAR and Instagram at Armchair SCAR as well. We're also on Facebook, Armchair South Carolina. And of course, again, this is a podcast presented to you by the Armchair All-Americans, armchairallamericans.com, localizing your sports coverage content. Please be sure to go check us out at armchairallamericans.com for all of your latest breaking Gamecock news, coverage, our podcast, of course. Obviously, our coverage and our content is going to be in full force with football season kicking off in just a couple of days. But for Armchair All-Americans, we're also doing really exciting stuff like fantasy football, gambling, esports, along with professional and collegiate sports, of course, as well. So please be sure to go check us out, armchairallamericans.com, for all of that. Like I do every single week, I welcome my co-host, Thomas Floyd, to the show. Tom, how's it going, man? It's great to have you on.
It's a great week. School's been going well, so can't be negative about that. But it's game week, so that's what really we're here for.
Hey, Tom, let's restart. I forgot to do the ad read.
I meant to say something. I was like, I think we're supposed to do that ad.
I know. Yeah, dude, fuck. Let me just play. I can edit all this out. So
you could just say it now and then edit it together.
I just completely forgot to do the edit. Fuck. Okay. I can redo the. Did he? So I don't think he even slacked it to me.
He put it through.
You still have it in your. Do you have it in your text still?
Yeah. You want me to text it to you?
Text it to me. Yeah, that'd be great. Because, like I said, I do not. That's probably why I forgot about it. That's hilarious. That's so funny.
Dude, he's like, I appreciate Andrew for giving us a thing, but like, I just don't fuck with Andrew.
No, I got you. Yeah, just text that to me, so I'll go through that.
I like click through a million things. All right, it just sent.
Yeah, I heard it. All right, there we go. All right, let's restart this. I don't have to even click anything, so we'll go 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Spurs Up Show presented by the Armchair All-Americans. Tom, it's finally game week. That smell is in the air. South Carolina faces Coastal Carolina at noon on Saturday. SEC Network kick, the opening game of 2018. We're going to get into all that, preview the Chanticleers, break down the game in its entirety, also talk about the depth chart that was released today and a little bit more news and tidbit to go along with it. But first, if you're not subscribed yet, please be sure to do so. The best Gamecocks podcast on the internet by far. Be sure to go online, rate, subscribe, share, and download the Spurs Up Show on iTunes, the Stitcher app, wherever you consume your media, wherever you get your podcasts. Please be sure to go online and check us out there. Also, please be sure to check us on all of our social media handles as well. Our podcast is on Twitter at the Spurs Up Show. Armchair South Carolina, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Armchair SCAR, Facebook, Armchair South Carolina. And of course, this is a podcast presented to you by the Armchair All-Americans, armchairallamericans.com, localizing your sports coverage content. Please be sure to go check us out on armchairallamericans.com for all of your latest breaking Gamecock news, coverage, our podcast. Of course, we're also covering things from fantasy to esports to gambling. So please be sure to go check us out, all of our exciting content there. With that being said, Tom, I'm not sure if you saw this week, South Carolina actually opened as a 29.5-point favorite over the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, and it had me thinking, I don't know, maybe putting some money on the Gamecocks. I'm not normally one to bet on my own team, but the numbers seem kind of enticing. With that being said, I want to segue. We've actually got a sponsor. That's right. The Spurs Up Show, Armchair All-Americans. We've hit the big leagues. with MyBookie. You know, like I said, Tom, ever since I've started the podcast, I've always thought to myself, people have been asking me for betting advice, which I think is a really bad thing to do because I've known to, I've tended to lose a good bit of money gambling in my day. But usually people are asking, you know, what team should I bet on this week? You know, the truth is, Tom, I don't know who's going to win, but I think you should know. I think you should go check out MyBookie to put down your bets. Remember, it's who you're betting on is just as important as who you're betting with. That's why I'll always tell people to bet with MyBookie. Trust me, guys, they're their best bet for the season. They've been in business for years, have great reviews online. Their mobile site's easy to use. I would definitely recommend that service to you guys. Again, any college football games you want to bet on this weekend, there's a ton. The slate is huge. You got Notre Dame, Michigan. We got Auburn, Washington. We got Miami and LSU. We got Virginia Tech, Florida State. Tons of games. I think Oklahoma FAU might be a good money steal as well if you're looking at the lines right now. They've got in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business. And for your fantasy guys out there, you can even bet the over-under how many fantasy points a player is going to score each game. So it's a no-brainer. Go to mybookie.com. Again, that's MYBOOKIE. Don't forget to use the promo code SPURS, not Spurs Up. Use the promo code SPURS, SPURS. When creating your account to claim up to $1,000 in free play. Tom, they're actually going to match whatever you put in there. So you put in 100, they're going to give you another 100 to play with. It's as simple as that. Again, you can't beat it. Up to $1,000 in free play. Again, mybookie.com. You play, you win, you get paid. All right, Tom, again, it's game week, South Carolina, Coastal Carolina on Saturday. It's finally here. I feel like we've just been going on and on in the preseason for weeks and weeks and months, which we in reality have. How you doing on this game week? How you feeling as far as we're 4 days right now as we're recording this on Tuesday night, the 28th, 4 days away from kickoff. How you feeling?
I mean, I'm pumped, bro. Like, I don't think there's another way to feel other than just being excited about this game and the season's here because it feels like we've been in the summer, dog days of summer for like 6 years now. And now that we have a game week, it's like, what else do you want to do with your time?
Absolutely, 100%. And today, Will Muschamp actually spoke to the media. The depth chart, the initial depth chart was released. I do want to touch on that a little bit before we get into breaking everything down with Coastal Carolina. I'll ask you first, Tom, anything that stuck out to you from the depth chart, anything maybe that surprised you, that maybe reconfirmed anything you were thinking? Talk about what you saw.
I mean, I think the most surprising thing to me was seeing Jamias Williams not being a starter at any position. Obviously, he's going to be a backup at safety and nickel behind Nick Harvey at safety and J.C. Horn at nickel, but I just think not seeing him on a starting anywhere was kind of big to me. But I don't read too much in depth charts. I kind of go by what the coach says, and he says that, you know, regardless if people are in the depth chart or not, there are people who are third string, I guess who you could call third string, they're still going to play, like a Rick Sanders. He wouldn't listen to the depth chart, but I'm sure but he said in the press conference today that Rick and JJ and Barre are going to have the same amount of snaps almost. So, you know, just, you know, listening to Muschamp to me obviously is a big deal. We know he puts the depth chart into context, but I mean that, and I think not seeing Shane Hines is gone. You know, the guy that just left the school and basically got a tryout and decided that once he got told that he wasn't going to be the starter, just to leave. And it's shocking. You know, you bring in a guy over the summer to come try out for a kicking position, he doesn't even make the team at all. But that kind of shocked me. You know, Brian as a punt returner starter was kind of a thing I didn't really expect going into the fall camp. That's something that I didn't really see coming. But other than that, I mean, most of it was pretty, you know, standard stuff, most of what we expected.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the Shane Hines thing. That's definitely a freezing cold take. I think you and I both had. I know I predicted him to win the starting job, so yeah, way off. Put me on freezing cold takes. But yeah, again, like you're saying, I think, you know, I don't want to dive too deep into the depth chart because, again, it's Will Muschamp talk today. It's not really about who starts the game, it's who finishes the game. And like when you talk about a guy like Jamias Williams, again, I'm more so encouraged and impressed that JT eBay is listed as the starting safety, even when he had short time to get ready. You know, he had the hip injury starting fall camp. He's still a guy that's able to come in because he has experience. He's played on the big stage. He's played some really good football. He's going to be able to come in and start immediately for you. But a guy like Jamias Williams is going to play.
Yeah, he's going to play.
He's going to play a ton. He may start this game, not start that game. It's really not a big deal, especially in the secondary because those guys shuffle in and out so much, and they're just trying to get their best 5, 6, 7 guys on the field. But, you know, the biggest thing I take away, Tom, this is something I've been thinking kind of over the last week and a half, is I really feel like for the first time since 2013, maybe you could argue 2014, but I'd say 2013, South Carolina's got some dudes. South Carolina has some dudes. When you take a look at their depth chart, you know, South Carolina, unlike Will Muschamp's first year, finally just isn't all freshmen. They did a great job, Will Muschamp has, of developing those guys, getting you some veteran leadership, but also sprinkling in obviously some big time freshman talent, a la J.C. Horn, a Josh Van, who is backing up Deebo Samuel, who I think is going to have a pretty good year. He might be in limited action, but I think a guy, again, like I've said before on this podcast, that's going to wow some people. That's going to make you go, wow, that kid has some playmaking ability. That kid's explosive. So, like you said, I mean, I don't think overall, again, I don't think it's something to dive too deep into. I mean, I think, like I said, I think eBay starting at that other safety position was a little surprising to me. I would have probably thought it was Nick Harvey or, like you said, even Jam Williams. But again, it's pretty impressive that eBay was able to come in that quickly and make that big of an impression when I think he only practiced half of fall camp. So
it wasn't a lot.
I mean, other than that, I mean, there's not a whole lot to take away from it. Like you said, I mean, I thought the big news for sure was, Shane Hines, Shane Hines, not even with the program anymore. I think he's going to go to Murray State, I think is what they said. But either way, yeah.
I know. I don't think it's Murray State, but it's some small Division II school in the middle of Michigan.
Yeah, and I wrote it down today too, and I can't remember it for some reason. But anyways, him just straight up leaving, transferring out, and then obviously the other big news that I'll just touch on really quickly from the press conference today is, no word on Josh Belk or Jamel Cook, and not sure what exactly the NCAA is doing right now as far as dragging their feet. I mean, Tom's got his theories that the NCAA just hates South Carolina, which at this point you can't really argue otherwise. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, will they get their eligibility? Will it come out tomorrow, Thursday, Friday? I mean, who knows? So something we'll keep an eye on as well. But again, it is game week. It's finally here. This week has just got a different feeling to it. There's a different vibe in the air, Tom. We all know that. Again, South Carolina hosts the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers Saturday, September 1st, this Saturday at noon. Game's going to be televised on SEC Network. South Carolina 1-0 all-time versus Coastal. That one meeting, fans will probably remember, November 23rd, 2013, the Gamecocks defeated Coastal Carolina 70-10 in Williams-Brice Stadium. In a game that I was at, and the game that was quickly over, was over by halftime. South Carolina enters this one, like you heard me talk earlier. They're a 29.5-point favorite. Over-under set at 57. The Chanticleers went 3-9 a year ago, just 2-6 in the Sun Belt. Sort of a fall for grace from those guys who used to really run the FCS. Chanticleers have 7 returning starters on offense, 5 on defense. So overall, 12 starters. I mean, not a ton of returning talent, but again, this is a team that went 3-9 a year ago, and again has fallen off of their perch, if you will, from where they used to sit in the FCS ranks. They did give Arkansas a scare a year ago, lost by 1 point in Fayetteville. Granted, that Arkansas team wasn't all that great, and we saw what South Carolina did to those guys, pretty much dismantled them. But Tom, talk about, before we kind of get into our breakdown, just kind of your feelings with this opener. South Carolina 17-1 in their last 18 openers. I'm sure that's a stat plenty of Gamecock fans have heard during this week. But 17-1, that lone loss coming to Texas A&M in 2014. This is the first time, actually, I heard this stat, Tom, first time South Carolina is opening on a Saturday against a non-Power 5 opponent since 2010 when they faced Southern Miss. Talk about just kind of your initial feelings going into this game.
I mean, I feel confident. This is a team that you should take care of easily, and it should never be a close game, maybe except the first quarter. But I don't have any real big concerns. They were 3-9 last year. Obviously they have a head coach coming back that had to take last year off because of her health concerns, but I don't think he's going to make a big of a difference there unless they just have recruited some guys I don't know of and just making big impacts with freshmen. But I think Carolina handles them easily. It's just my raw opinion. I haven't really scouted coach so much, but there are obviously a lot of the things in the game could go wrong for Carolina, but I don't think it does. I think it's probably something that's going to be 17-7 going in the half, and probably at the end of probably in the third quarter it'll be like 20-something to 7. I think Carolina's just too strong at this point. It's not going to be a retake of the Citadel.
Yeah, no, it's so funny to hear people, talk about that. I went on the radio last week, humble brag, and had they asked me basically about that Citadel game, and this is just a completely different South Carolina team than that team was in 2015. I mean, that team was falling apart. The wheels had pretty much fallen off at that point. And plus, South Carolina, go ahead.
Plus, at the time, the Citadel was like one of the top 5 or 6 FCS schools in the country, and the way that South Carolina was playing, it kind of wasn't shocking when you really look at it that they lost that game.
Right. I mean, there was no reason for Citadel to not believe they could win that game, like you said, as well. Yeah. Even again, maybe it wasn't against the best competition or competition South Carolina was facing, but I mean, Citadel was winning and South Carolina was losing. And I mean, I think it's just from a mental standpoint, Citadel expected to win that game. And I think South Carolina might have, I mean, I don't know. They really expected to win that football game. But anyways, that is not a scenario like that this year. South Carolina, like you mentioned, I think is the vastly superiorly talented, more talented team to Coastal. I mean, it's just top to bottom. They have more talented players. You mentioned the return of Joe Moglia, their head coach. He missed all of 2017 due to health concerns. Tom, talking about some of the biggest storylines coming in this game for me, obviously one of the biggest storylines is going to be the up-tempo offense making its debut. We've heard all off season, Brian McClendon obviously gets the job, gets promoted during the offseason. Dan Werner gets hired as well. Jake Bentley talked today to the media, said that, the offense is 100% in, everything's installed. One of the bigger storylines in this game to me is just how that up-tempo offense does. I mean, I'm not sure how much South Carolina is going to show. I mean, with Georgia looming week 2, obviously that's not going to be something they're going to think about, but it's something we can definitely think about as fans and observers. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, that offense, normally in an opener like this, there wouldn't be many storylines going into a game like this. I mean, you just kind of go in, handle your business, be done with it. But, again, it's going to be interesting. How does the offense look? I mean, how do you run the offense? How true are you to the tempo, the things that you've said in the offseason? So I think it's going to be a big deal. I'm very, very excited and intrigued to see what this offense does Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I think that they're not going to show much, obviously, because you have Georgia coming in week 2. I don't think they go much more than anything basic. I think that you're probably going to end up seeing Scarnecchia play some in the fourth quarter just to get him some experience. But I just think that, it's not a game I'm concerned about like at all. I just don't think that there's any reason to be worried about this game at all. But I mean, there are some people you want to see in this game, obviously, play, but I just think it's such an easy opener game. Like, if we lose, it's going to come back and bite. That's going to be a freezing cold take, but I just don't think there's much concern here.
No, absolutely. And you kind of mentioned it, brought me to my next point, kind of my other biggest storyline of this game, you could say. Just sort of the new faces we're going to see. Not only, on the defensive side of the ball, I'd say replacing Sky Moore, other guys like that at corner in the secondary, but also just the influx of young players that are going to get action on Saturday. I mean, I think you made a great point. This is a game South Carolina should win handily. I don't think this should not be a close game. It's going to be interesting to see the amount of young guys that get out there with the new red shirt rule that we've all talked about in the offseason, because guys can play up to 4 games and still get their red shirt. So how many youngsters will we see? Will we see, a Josh Van get multiple catches? Will we see a guy like DeCarrion Joyner get his first collegiate action? I mean, it's going to be very interesting. Will South Carolina be able to maybe get some young guys on the line of scrimmage? I think would be really beneficial for the Gamecocks to sort of develop some of those guys. So if they're able, how are they able to get those youngsters in? And for me as well, how do those youngsters react, those freshmen react? Even, a guy like J.C. Horn, as talented as he is, how does he react when he plays in front of 80,000, 85,000 people yelling and screaming, first time ever? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how those guys do as well. But I think South Carolina right now, again, has a good mix of veterans along with young guys as well. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Moving into the key matchups, I'll let you start, Tom. What, for the Gamecocks to win this football game, what's going to be your key matchup you're going to be watching for during the game?
I mean, obviously, you have to look at our line of scrimmage against theirs when it comes to defense and offense, because I want to see a difference when it comes to how much push can the offensive line get and open up the run game for Rico Dowdle, AJ Turner, and Tyson Williams. Because last year, you didn't see that a whole lot. There were holes, but they were small and they closed quick, But I think this year, the offensive line is going to be improved to me. I think they'll handle Coastal's defense line pretty easily. But when it comes to the defense line, I want to see, can they establish a pass rush? Because if you can't establish a pass rush against Coastal with 4 guys, there's no way you're going to do it against Georgia. And I think that's going to be a big, helpful sign for a lot of people, is whether or not South Carolina can get a pass rush against Coastal early and go ahead and get them down fast and get a bunch of 3-and-outs.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. I mean, that's something that they've talked about a ton in the offseason, that South Carolina feels they've got their best offensive line they've had in a while. I mean, you move Zach Bailey inside. You've got Bailey, Donnell Stanley, Sedarius Hutchinson, all 3 of those guys on the inside. Should get a really good push on the interior. Yeah. And they've got some talented guys on the defensive line. Obviously, depth has been their concern, but you got to go do it. I mean, we've heard, again, all offseason how good that O-line should be. You got to go do it against a team like Coastal Carolina. And I don't want to jump ahead, Tom, to your key to the game, but I mean, you got to establish the run. I mean, you got to be able to get a push. You're a team going against Coastal Carolina. You're more talented than them. You got bigger, stronger, faster athletes than them. you got to prove it and show it on the field, not just let it be off season talk. So I agree with you 100%. My key matchup of the game, it's a pretty interesting one. Coastal Carolina does like to run a spread type offense. They like to throw it around the yard a little bit when they can. My key match is going to be defensive back Rashad Fenton against wide receiver Malcolm Williams. Malcolm Williams, the top returning target for Coastal Carolina. I'd really say the top returning player for the Chanticleers. Stats from a year ago, he played in 14 games, had 86 catches. Actually, no, that's his rushing stats. Let me get his stats here. Here we go. Had 43 catches for 793 yards for 7 touchdowns, averaged 18.4 yards per reception. So a guy that can definitely make some plays when he gets the ball in his hands. Obviously pretty explosive, given an 18-yard per catch mark there. And he's going to be the guy they're going to try to go to more often than not. I mean, he is their number one target. I'm not sure really other guys they have that are big-time guys other than him, but he's going to be their guy they're going to look to. And how does Rashad Fenton, a guy that, is considered I say South Carolina's best cornerback, and a guy that I think was maybe a little bit disrespected on the All-SEC teams, maybe even All-American teams. I think a guy that was absolutely shut down the first 8 games of the year a year ago. I mean, you had Fenton Island going on and stuff like that. How does he come out in his first game? Is he able to establish himself in the cornerback, be physical, lock down Malcolm Williams, and, really make it hard for Coastal Carolina? Because I think if they're able to shut Malcolm Williams down, it's going to be really, really tough for Coastal Carolina to get really anything going against this South Carolina defense. I mean, I know South Carolina may be a little bit young on defense, and they're not going to be as good in game 1 as they're going to be in game 10, 11, 12, but this South Carolina defense is good enough, and I think has enough talented athletes where they're really going to be able to limit Coastal Carolina and what they want to do. Moving into the keys of the game, simple for me, Tom. My key to the game is just don't look ahead. I will say I think that's something that this coaching staff and Will Muschamp, this team has done a great job of, is not looking ahead, really focusing on the task at hand. When they were talking in summer, all they wanted to talk about was fall camp. We got to have a great fall camp. We got to have a great camp. We need to do work on South Carolina all during fall camps. And we're focusing on Coastal Carolina. We're focusing on the Chanticleers. There's been no talk about Georgia. The great thing about us, again, is we can look ahead. It doesn't really matter. But for this team, the big thing for them is do not look ahead. Stay in the moment. Go out there, take care of your business. I mean, again, Coastal Carolina, these players know it. We know it. It's a team they should beat. It's a team they should have no trouble beating, but you got to go out there and do it, and you can't take any opponent lightly. And I think, again, the good thing for the South Carolina and Gamecock fans is that Will Muschamp being at the helm, being the guy leading the charge, he's not going to let his teams do that. He's not going to let his team look ahead. I think they'll be focused on taking care of the task at hand. So that's going to be my biggest key. Tom, what's yours?
Mine would be to establish the run early and get up fast. Something that South Carolina really didn't do at all last year was establish the run at all. Establish it well, I would say, because they did try to run the ball a lot last year, just didn't work out. But I think that if they can gash Coastal for 10 and 15 yards of pop to start with, get up 14-0 in the first quarter, and just break their neck. I think that's going to be the biggest key. When you can't, obviously, like you said, you can't overlook teams. That's how you get beat. I think that if they really establish the run and let Jake Bentley get the deep ball out with Brian McClendon calling plays and not Kurt Roper, I think that, you get up early, the way you can just kind of coast the rest of the game and not show anything, not have to, expend coming to your best plays. And I just think that's the biggest key there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I think, again, getting off to a fast start, that's just something South Carolina has not done very well, it seems like, of late. I mean, we talked about, I hate to even bring the game up again, but we talked about in the pre-show kind of Louisiana Tech, what happened a year ago, and you just got to get off to a quick start. And again, that kind of goes back to what this new offense is going to do with the up-tempo offense. I think South Carolina's defense is going to play well Saturday. I don't have any concerns that South Carolina's not going to be able to stop Coastal Carolina. It's just, can this offense go out there again, like you're saying, Tom, really establish yourself, whip the man in front of you, take control of the football game? Because to me, again, we know Jake Bentley can throw the football. I'm not too concerned with, I don't need to see Jake Bentley throw for 400 yards. I would more so love to see this offensive line get a push and South Carolina rush for 200 plus. That would, to me, I would leave this game feeling the best about South Carolina going into that big week 2 matchup if they can run the football pretty much at will. I mean, that to me, that's going to make me feel the best as a fan. So, I want to move into it, Tom. I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to do this obviously every single week, talking about these games. Give me your prediction. What happens on Saturday?
I think that they come out and they're probably up 21-7 at halftime, and then don't let the Coastal score the rest of the game. I just think that South Carolina's too talented. It's not going to be a remake of Coastal in 2014 or 2015, my bad. But I just think they're too good. South Carolina's too good. I think they'll overpower Coastal. I'm going to go 35-7 Carolina.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of similar with you. I mean, I think South Carolina probably halftime score. You're looking at, I don't know, 28-3, or no, excuse me, 21-3, 24-3, stuff like that, or something like that. I think South Carolina wins the game overall 38-10. I do not think they cover the 29.5 for any of you guys that went to mybookie.com and want to put some money on the game. I'm one, I don't believe in betting on your own team. I don't bet on my own team, but I don't know. I think the number is kind of big, Tom. 29.5 is a lot. Unless I think if South Carolina can pitch the shutout, I think they will cover the spread. But overall, I mean, I don't think South Carolina is going to be out there trying to score 50 points in the first game. I mean, as much fun as it'd be to watch, I think they're going to get a lead. They're going to get into the third quarter. The game's going to be sort of in hand. They're going to get some young guys in there to play. And, South Carolina's still going to cruise to an easy victory, but I don't think it's going to be some 56-7 or 70-10 like we saw. It's not going to be some 70-10 game like we saw in 2013. I just don't expect that. But I think the Gamecocks get the win 38-10, pretty comfortably start the season 1-0. The Gamecock faithful leave Williams-Brice Stadium happy and get ready for that week 2 matchup against Georgia. So, pretty much going to wrap it up. I mean, again, we kind of ran through that pretty quickly. But, Tom, anything we may have missed? I mean, overall thoughts as far as Coastal Carolina, anything we may have missed? I know, obviously our previews will be a little more in-depth as we get into, again, like SEC place and the bigger opponents. Not much on Coastal Carolina, like Tom said. Not a whole lot of film on those guys. Obviously, nobody's played a game yet. But, again, I just think this is a game. Coastal Carolina, they went 3-9 a year ago. What you see is what you get with these guys. And South Carolina just needs to go out there Saturday and impose their will. I mean, that's just kind of the bottom line to me.
I mean, I feel the same way. I think they just need to come out and get up early and basically put their foot in the throat. Just it's what's going to have to happen. I don't think that this needs to be a game anybody should be worried about or should cause any worry at all. You have to, because if you don't do that and you have a game where it's close going into the fourth quarter and then you finally pull away, then you're going to have less confidence going into Georgia. I think if you come in, beat Coastal down early, that's how you're going to have a good mojo going into the Georgia game.
Yeah, no, absolutely 100%. 100% agree. I think it should be, again, a fun day for Gamecock fans and should be a game that's never in doubt. It's funny. I've seen so many people obviously we're on social media. I've seen so many people on social media, though, and through different outlets that are, like you said, just kind of worried about this game. That's fine. Everybody has their own, you can have your own feelings on this football game, but this is not a game South Carolina should be worried about. This is a game that South Carolina should be worrying about working on itself, getting better itself, getting reps again for the offense. How does the tempo work? Kind of feeling itself out, because obviously we all know what looms week 2, but I just don't see a scenario where this is a game where Coastal Carolina is able to hang with South Carolina. So that's going to wrap up the preview portion. Anything, Tom, we may have missed? I don't think there's any recruiting news right now except for
not really, other than Jaquez Sorrells delayed his announcement basically because of Alabama is like kind of warm offered him like. Basically, if they don't have some guys commit, they'll offer Sorrells, and he can be a part of their class. So he's backed off of making a commitment date. But South Carolina's obviously still in good standing if Alabama doesn't offer him. But then obviously, here's another thing: they added a spot in the 2019 class because of Shane Hines not enrolling in class, so his scholarship didn't count against the 2019 class. So they have like 23 spots now, I think, instead of 22, something like that. They have about 4 more spots. They have another spot open.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's a great point you make about the 2019 class. I didn't even think about that with Shane Hines, but yeah, that should make an impact as well for sure. Again, it's crazy to think that Hines came as a grad transfer then left, but you just kind of never know in these situations. But again, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for us. Oh, also before we go, Battle Armor video dropped literally as we were pressed record on this podcast. South Carolina going with garnet white, but the garnet helmets have the black Carolina script. Tom, give me your thoughts. What do you think about the unis?
I like it. I wish they would have gone like all garnet, like you've been saying. And I don't know. I'm kind of on it. I like it, but if they do stuff to the field with the script logo, I'll be more excited. But if not, then I'm just like, it's kind of like just a one game thing. I'll be like, well, it was cool for like a day, and then now I'm over it.
Yeah, like I told you before, Tom, I don't want to get absolutely crucified on Gamecock Twitter, but if you want to do so, I'm at CPhilly19 for my personal account if you want to come at me. But I was expecting a little bit more. I think just because of some of the mock jerseys and helmets we had seen on social media. But overall, it looks really sleek. Obviously, the helmet looks really, really good. Nobody's going to deny that. But like I told you, Tom, if you're going to go garnet, go with the garnet pants. I just don't understand why South Carolina. I mean, here's what I don't get, Tom, and this might be even more of a hotter topic than previewing the Coastal Carolina game. You wear them in pictures all the time. You're on the poster in all garnet. Why can't you wear all garnet in an actual game?
Maybe I just saving it for a big game, bro. You never know.
It just, I don't know. I can't plug two and two together. But overall, I'm not going to complain. The unis look great. The garnet, the Carolina script looks awesome. I'll have my Carolina script on. They're obviously encouraging everyone to wear it. I'll have my Carolina script polo with my Carolina script visor as well. I'm going to be decked out. I mean, I'm going to be ready to go like I always am. But yeah, I mean, it should be a lot of fun. Again, South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, noon kickoff. Football season is finally back. The podcasts are obviously going to be starting to get a lot more fun and a lot more juicy as we get kicked off and have some real football to talk about. That's going to wrap it up for this portion. We have a really, really special interview with Langston Moore, sideline reporter for South Carolina. For those, pretty much everyone listening probably knows he played defensive tackle for the Gamecocks from 1999 to 2002, was also in the NFL from 03 to 08. Again, is the sideline reporter for the Gamecocks, has been since 2012. Also the co-author with Preston Thorne, who was a Gamecocks captain on the 2004 team, co-author of the Just a Chicken children's book. So please be sure to enjoy this interview. Before we get to that interview, it's an interview brought to you again by our friends over at MyBookie. Again, all the big time college football games this weekend, Tom. I would only recommend a service to our listeners that's been good to me. Obviously, I don't want you to go to some other trash gambling website, lose all your money, and then we lose your subscription to the Spurs Up Show because you're going to blame me for the website. That's not going to happen with MyBookie. That's why I'm urging you to make your way there. You win, they pay. They've actually got in-game live betting, most rewarding player perks in the business. And again, for you fantasy guys, it's crazy to me because I'm actually about to have my fantasy football draft. You can even bet the over-under how many fantasy points a player is going to score each game. Absolutely. I've never heard of something like that.
Yeah,
join now. MyBookie's going to match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use the promo code SPURS, that's SPURS, to activate the offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's going to be MyBookie. Don't forget to use the promo code SPURS when creating your account to claim up to $1,000 in free play. You play, you win, you get paid. Again, enjoy this interview with Langston Moore. We will catch you guys next week to recap the Coastal Carolina game and preview the Georgia Bulldogs. Enjoy.